أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Condolences for the martyrdom of Seyed Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. I send the Imam of the age our condolences, and I send you my condolences. One of the brothers was asking me, how come we call Sayyidah Fatima our mother? And do we have any proof for this, that she is our mother? In general, when it comes to spirituality and people that have high rank, they are usually known, those that are very high in spiritual status, are known to be, our father or our mother, for example. Second of all, when Imam Ali alayhi salam is in hadith, mentioned that he is the father, or Rasulullah is our father, and that Sayyidah Fatima is the kuf and the peer and equal to Ali ibn Abi Talib, according to the tradition, then she is our mother as well, while he is our father. Third, I said these two, and still he did not, this brother still wanted more evidence. So I looked and searched. In the book of Iqbal of Sayyid ibn Tawus, it has part of the ziyarat of Sayyidah Fatima. And in the ziyarat, we say, Assalamu alayki ya al-mu'mineen. We say, salam to mother of the believers, al-mu'mineen. So we have this also in ziyarat. So tonight is, according to the tradition of the 75, from these 3 nights, this would be more accurate, and tonight would be possibly the martyrdom of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, our mother. So we should be very sad tonight. It should be a night of mourning for us. And a night of gratitude, that we thank Allah that we are allowed to be here, that He has brought us here, and able to mourn for her, to collectively cry for her, and to learn about her life and hopefully implement what she has said in our own lives and implement it in our families' lives. Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, what she did was in Ashura, and she was all alone, and she had to defend the walaya Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And when they came to forcefully get allegiance from Imam Ali alayhi salam, she was a barrier and did not allow them to harm Imam Ali alayhi salam. Instead, she became, as the tradition has, a Siddiqa, a Shahida, the truth teller and the martyr. She gives 2 speeches, many speeches she possibly gave, but there are 2 speeches that are recorded in the books of history. The first speech I'm sure you have read or heard about is the sermon of Fadak, which she gave in front, after obviously being covered, in front of the community after Rasulullah passed away, demanding her rights to Fadak. And we talked about this, that Fadak was a test for the people because it was such a large amount of capital that Rasulullah, at that time after the battle of Khaybar, Rasulullah grants and gives, according to verse of Quran, grants and gives it to Sayyidah Fatima. So already people that wanted to be jealous, people that wanted to be upset, this hatred started developing because Sayyidah Fatima was a test for them. And they started, some of them resenting and saying, why does she deserve such a large amount of land and economic power? Well, we understand today, because she is infallible, because of her high status, that she, obviously Allah gave this to her through Rasulullah, she deserves this. But for those that did not have that level of ma'rifah, there is a level of resentment and jealousy. So when the first Khalifa takes this away from her, possibly many people in Medina were saying, good thing that they took it away from her. Why does she deserve so much property? Knowing that this is actually the way that Rasulullah, Allah wanted Ahlul Bayt to fund themselves. Lady Khadija was a great source, her mother was a great source of wealth and support and help for Islam. And so Sayyidah Fatima would also be a great resource of wealth. So she gave this speech, one of the greatest lectures that we have in Islam, recorded in a Sunni book, Balaghatun Nisa, sermons of balaghat and eloquence. Ibn Tayfur brings, and he records it there, even though she smashes the Khilafah. Ibn Tayfur, who's Sunni, he still brings this speech of Fatimiyyah. The second speech, which we are going over, and this is, the last night, but this is, again, excerpts from it, parts from it, is after her house is attacked multiple times. And she is now suffering from injuries that after this 75 days or 95 days, she becomes martyred and passes away. She begins to criticize those same ladies that come to visit her, the ladies from the Muhajir and Ansar. She begins to tell them that I detest your men, and I tested your men, and I detest your world and your men together. That the men of Medina have failed, because she gave a speech in front of everyone and nobody stood up. Later on, years later, one of the wives of the Prophet, and this causes Ayatollah Sadr to cry. He says one of the wives of the Prophet spoke and thousands mobilized to fight against Imam Ali in the Battle of Jamal. He says, I cry. When she speaks, thousands rise up. When Sayyidah Fatima speaks with that eloquence, nobody stands up to help her. So in the second speech, she talks about, why did you not follow Imam Ali? They came to visit her, but she's criticizing to send a message to the men that why did you not fight for Imam Ali? Why did you not follow Ali ibn Abi Talib? And there she talks about qualities and opportunities that the people of Medina have missed. And last night we talked about those that are mutrafin, those that are in affluence, and they have this affluence has caused them to neglect Allah, to forget about Allah. The people of Medina are a great example of this at that time, because they had all the ni'mas and blessings that Allah could give a group of people. They had wealth. They had that time now. They had security and military power. And they had Imam Ali, Lady Fatima, Imam Hassan, and Imam Hussein. Yet they did not make use of these blessings and instead turned against these blessings. So the first quality that last night we talked about that Imam Ali would do, that we can derive from the second khutbah, is that he would give the people of Medina comfort. We talked about this last night. That he would cause comfort for the people, that they would live a good life. And we said that Imam Ali alayhi salam would bring iman and faith and yaqeen and rida and contentment and certainty, causes someone to feel good about themselves, causes someone to have, in terms of, raha and comfort. Tonight we're going to talk about two other qualities of Imam Ali's Khilafah that we understand from this khutbah. The other quality is that the people of Medina had a choice. Would you agree with me that they were free to choose their future for themselves? Was anybody forced? Was anybody, that was forced to make them follow Ali ibn Abi Talib? And some were surprised. Abu Amr sees Sayyidah Fatima in hadith. She was visiting Hamza, Sayyid al-Shuhada. and mentions and asks, did Rasulullah ever have a will, have someone in charge after he left? And Sayyidah Fatima answers in this hadith and asks him and is wondering and is in ta'ajjub and is wondering, where were you in Ghadir? He made it clear in Ghadir 100 days ago. He made it clear. Then he asked this question. He says, then why did Imam Ali sit? Qa'ada an haqqih. Why did he sit from his right? And this is a question that occurs in our minds. Why did Imam Ali, if he was the true successor of Rasulullah, not take his sword and force people right then to do bay'at to him? And she explains, مَثَلُ الْإِمَامِ كَمَثَلِ الْكَعْبَةِ تُؤْتَى وَلَا تَأْتِي. The example of the Imam is the example of the Holy Kaaba, that people come towards the Holy Kaaba. The Holy Kaaba does not come towards them. When you want to perform Hajj, I know many people would wish they could do this. They would love to pay and have Kaaba to come to Los Angeles for a few days, and they would do tawaf, and Kaaba to go back. Make it much easier, right? But this is not the way it works. You have to go and get your visa in the complicated computer system, whatever they had designed recently, and somehow manage to get on a hamla in a group and go and wear your ihram and change in yourself to conform, and now you can be a haji. The Kaaba does not come to you. You change and come to the Kaaba. So it says that Imam Ali, in the same way, we have to accept his government. We have to accept his imamat. And we have to have taslim, paraphrase, in a way, saying this, that we have to have taslim and submission to Ali alayhi salam 100% for Imam Ali to rule us and to govern us. What other imam is this similar to? All the other imams, especially Imam Mahdi. There is not going to be a miracle that's going to be done with Imam Mahdi comes, and that the majority of his victory would just be by the snap of his holy fingers, and all his enemies are just dead. It will be, in the tradition we have, how Rasulullah was successful by the people. So we understand that the second condition, or the second quality of the government of Imam Ali salam, is that people have to be free to elect and choose to live this life. Because if you want to have complete religion, people cannot force you to do it. People were praying already. People already had Hajj, for example. They had Quran. But she wants to take people to the maximum amount of Islam. And that is the same way that Imam Mahdi will bring people to the maximum level of Iman and faith. But people need to want that. People need to be able to work for it. If they just want to sit there and just allow the Imam just to do everything for them, but they're not going to reach Kamal, because Kamal and perfection is done by our effort. You have to strive. You have to work for Kamal. So this is the second quality, and we can implement this in our current situation today, is that through strife, through hard work, through sacrifice, through resistance, people reach Kamal. For Imam Hussein alayhi salam, there's a tradition that the Prophet mentioned that Imam Hussein will only get this special status only through martyrdom, only through this sacrifice. So therefore, we have to be able to want this high level and complete faith willingly, by our own will. The third condition or quality of Imam Ali's government, we'll read from her holy khutbah. Let's recite as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Is that she says to them, and it's very interesting that usually when I read hadith, most of it, a lot of times you can just understand by just reading, after reading hadith and Quran and studying grammar. But when it comes to this lecture of Sayyidah Fatima, is very hard. And I ask you, those that speak Arabic today and read Arabic, you can look at the level of fasaha and how difficult this khutbah is. Real high levels of eloquence that she's giving to the women of Ansar and Muhajirin. وَلَأَوْرَدَهُمْ مَنْهَلًا نَمِيرًا صَافِيًا رَوِيًّا تَطْفَهُ ضَفَتَا. And he will supply them that if they followed Ali ibn Abi Talib, this is you, O people of Medina, what have you missed? You have missed that he would supply them with luminous, clear, fresh water. Ali alayhi salam would give them clear and fresh water instead of murky and muddy, polluted water. تطفح صفتا ولا يتزنق جانبا. Such water whose banks would overflow. Not a small amount of water. It's clear and it has so much that it overflows. Its banks will overflow. وَلَا أَسْدَرَهُمْ بِطَانًا. And that this water will not be stagnant. وَنَّسَحَ لَهُمْ سِرًّا وَإِعْلَانًا. And he would comfort them and advise them secretly and openly. So Imam Ali alayhi salam would be the fresh water that would allow the people of Medina to have. And he would cause the barakat, as she says later on in the verse, that if Ummul Qura had iman, the barakat of Saman Ard would be for them. So she's saying that you missed out in the dunya. You missed out in prosperity, you could say. That Imam Ali not only would cause comfort for you, he would cause you to become rich people. And this causes us to have a question here. And that is prosperity something bad? Is becoming rich something bad? Because we have traditions that some of the companions thought that this was something bad. To be rich is bad. Or that sometimes you read verses of the Quran that talk about mutrafin, those that are affluent, that those are the ones in the in the hellfire. So we have to talk about this topic. Is it bad to be rich? Is it bad to be prosperous? Is it bad to be successful in this world? And should a Muslim instead focus his entire life on the hereafter? Because if someone is working for the dunya, they don't have time for the hereafter. They're too busy, they're too occupied, especially when they get wealthier and wealthier. Then there's they have to go to work more, they have to stay at work longer. They can't just let it go. They have to watch it and monitor it more. So this is an important question for us. To answer this, we have to look deeply into this question and say that man has two desires. Man has a desire for Allah, man has a desire for spirituality, and man has desire for the dunya and the world. So these are in everyone. The Imams controlled the side that is attracted to the world. They control it. But every Imam has free will. They also have temptations, but it's gone for them because they control it. When we look at ourselves in our spiritual progress, when you look, and I want you to examine yourself, which more are you inclined for? Dunya or akhirat? Spirituality or, for example, material? If I talk to you, for example, about things of this world, which one is more fun to talk about? When you're with your friends, when you're watching something, what do you like? What attracts you? Dunya, for example, fast cars, large homes. Or is it when you talk about spiritual things, hadith and Quran? Which one? So mankind is naturally inclined. Imam Ali in hadith mentions that we are abna'ud dunya, we are sons of the dunya. So therefore, naturally, we're inclined towards our mothers because we are sons of the dunya. So we naturally have this inclination. But then when we look at a child who matures through life, we see that same child that when they are born, they have one type of dha'iqa and taste, which is, for example, for their mother's milk, And as that child grows a few years, their taste changes and they like, for example, solid food. They love candy, for example. You want to reward a kid, you give him some candy. You want to trick a kid, you give him some candy, for example. So dha'iqah and taste changes in this world as we mature. And as somebody becomes older, they start liking other types of food. And then when they usually become a lot older, they start only liking salad and, for example, vegetables and fruits and soup. So as we mature and also in the spiritual realm, the more that we grow, we are growing out naturally. We're supposed to be growing out from the material and be more inclined towards the spiritual. That's how we're supposed to be. When you look at the traditions, for example, about the believer, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنِ هِمَّتُهُ فِي الصَّلَاةِ وَالصِّيَامِ وَالْعِبَادَةِ. A true believer, his himmah and his ambition and his strife is towards prayer, fasting, and worship. وَالْمُنَافِقِ, and the hypocrite, هِمَّتُهُ فِي الطَّعَامِ وَالشَّرَابِ كَالْبَهِيمَةِ. While a hypocrite, his strife is towards food and drink like the animals. So we have a normal inclination, which is our man-made, inclination, that it's towards the material. But as we grow and grow and grow, we're supposed to take on a new type of ma'rifah and understanding that is spiritual pleasure, spiritual yearning. And I think that you would agree with me that the more spiritual, religious you get, the more that Holy Quran becomes, more attractive for you. The more salat becomes great for you. If they ask you, you can go to a vacation anywhere in the world. Right now, especially tonight, you will say in Medina, I wish I could go to Medina, ziyarah, better than any other vacation. Even though I don't know where the grave of my mother is, I don't know exactly where it is because it was hidden. Because she told Imam Ali alayhi salam, "Qassilni bil-layl, dafinni bil-layl." Bury me at night, do ghusl of me at night, وَلَا تُعْلَمْ أَحَدٍ. And don't tell anybody. It's a mystery for us where she is. But still, I think everyone here will say, I wish I could go to Medina and do ziyarah. Even if he gave me the best tour package, cruise package, whatever. Because as we grow and we see things in spirituality, our horizons change. And our tastes change. And we start liking the spiritual more. We start liking religion more. True, it's not going to be 100%. But you're going to notice this change as long as you take your religion serious. And you'll love, for example, nights that are majlis of Sayyidah Fatima. You'll love ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. You'll love Hajj. You'll love Quran. You'll love fasting. You really love these things. The maximum level is when a person has all of his desires or her desires is all spiritual. And if I ask you really in this world, what do you like the most? Maybe, it's okay. Maybe a lot of us will say, I like, this activity, this hobby. It's okay, we'll say that. There'll be few people that will say, what do you love in this world? And it'll be everything spiritual. This was the answer that Sayyidah Fatima had. That when she explains that her life is in such a way that her inclinations are all Rahmani, are all towards God, all of her inclinations. And when in the hadith narrated about her, that she says, the things that I like in this world are three. Let's see if we have these things. Hubbib ilayya fi dunyakum thalath. The first, I love in your world three things. These are worldly things in this world. What does she like? Talawatu kitabillah. I love recitation of the Holy Quran. I love this. This is one. If we see that the Quran for us is not that attractive, tafsir for us is not that attractive, it means that our hearts are somewhere else. It means that we should start taking our religion more seriously. You have to see and be a judge yourself. Nobody knows your intentions but yourself and Allah. See, where is your heart? Is your heart towards the Holy Quran? A lot of times we say, Imam Mahdi, adrikni, I'll be your best soldier. I'll fight for you until I die. Ayatollah Bahjat says, do you want to know how you will be with Imam Mahdi? See how you are with the idl and the peer of Imam Mahdi, which according to Thaqalain is Kitabullah wa Itrati. See how you are with the Quran. Do you act upon the Quran? If you act upon the Quran, then you act upon Imam Mahdi's instructions. But if you do not act upon the Quran, then are you truthful to yourself? You say, Imam Mahdi, come and I'll follow you. I'll be your best soldier, for example. It's okay to have that hope. But to analyze ourselves, we have to see, well, is the instructions of Imam Mahdi anything else but the Holy Quran? So this is the first inclination, and we say that Sayyidah Fatima, did not have any material inclination. And if she spoke about Fadak, it was an economic tool and power for Ahlul Bayt that she fought for. It was the first step to bring down the Khilafah. The second thing that she mentions that she loved in this world, that completely saddens her after it's taken away from her, وَالنَّذَرُ فِي وَجْهِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. She loved looking at the face of Rasulullah. She doesn't say my father. She says, I loved looking at the face of Rasulullah. We are orphans of Ali Muhammad. We are all orphans. We have not seen the infallible Imam. But how fortunate were people that lived during the Prophet's life and Imam's life, that physically they could see them. Sayyidah Fatima loved looking at the face of her father Rasulullah. And when Asma comes and talks to her and asks her, how are you feeling? Salama. When Salama comes and enters, على فاطمة فقال لها كيف أصبحت عن ليلتك يا بنت رسول الله. How did you wake up from your night? In tradition, in Manaqib ibn Shahr al-Shu. You have to imagine this is a lady who has been injured and harmed. And this is, say, towards possibly the end of her life. This is a lady whose ribs are broken. And every inhale and exhale that she performs is as if she is dead and becomes alive again. But her inclinations in her love, we said, was one of Quran, two was of Rasulullah. And she says, قالت أصبحت بين كمد وكرب. I have woken in pain and suffering. But she never complains about what happened to her. She says, two things I complain about. These are the two things that I could not sleep at night. فقد النبي والظلم الوصي. That my father, Nabi, the Prophet, is not here anymore. I cannot sleep anymore because this is right after Rasulullah has passed away. وَالظُّلْمُ الْوَصِي. And Ali alayhi salam, dhulm has afflicted him. And he is madloom. She does not talk about her own injuries. So this is the second inclination that Sayyidah Fatima had, is that she loved looking at the face of Rasulullah. May Allah, inshallah, allow us one day to see the holy face of Imam Mahdi, inshallah. And the third thing is, one, Quran, two, Rasulullah, wal infaq fi sabilillah. I love helping people. I love charity, but fi sabilillah, that it is for Allah. I love giving. And one of the best feelings that someone can have, again, we are asking you to be our ambassadors, inform communities, other communities, outside communities. Inshallah, become like Sayyidah Fatima. That her love, she actually loved this of this world. If you ask her, what are the three great things you love? Quran, Rasulullah, and charity, helping. Helping, inshallah, Yasin, purchase this building that will be for us for generations, inshallah, self-sufficient to come. So therefore, you see that this is one aspect, and this is our goal, is to become like Sayyidah Fatima, inshallah, and take our true desires, and it takes time for this, and I'm not at this position myself, but to take our true desire, material desires and turn them into spiritual, and that everything we work for and everything we do throughout the day is just for Allah. It just brings us towards qurbah. This brings me towards close to Allah. But to answer this question, is it bad to become rich? Is it bad to work so hard for this world? Is it bad to have a good career? Is it bad to have overtime? Let's answer this question. And from what I said from the beginning, it seems like maybe we'll say, well, you should just read Quran, you should go to ziyarat, you should just give charity, you shouldn't even go to work tomorrow after listening to this speech. But this is why I want to mention the second half, so that inshallah you do go to work tomorrow. You do go to the children, go to school tomorrow. Or else I'll be the favorite speaker of the century. When you look at another aspect of Islam, and that is that the world is actually a place for us to prosper, and that ghina is something good. Richness, actually, we have in the traditions that in the traditions it says, Salullah al-ghina fi dunya wal-afiyah, Imam Sadiq says. Ask Allah for riches. If it was bad, we should not pray for it to become rich, to become self-sufficient in money. And ask for afiyah and health. Wal-akhirah al-maghfirah wal-jannah. One of the surahs of Quran that we have is Suratul Waqa'ah, that we're giving discussions on Saturday. There's titles of the surah called Suratul Ghina. It means that whoever reads this surah will become rich. At nighttime, if you have monetary problems, if you have financial problems, recite this surah at night, Suratul Waqa'ah. It's also another surah that reminds us of the hereafter. So if Akhirah was bad, if dunya was bad, we never have traditions say, ask for this. Or we have from the Prophet in Mustadrak al-Wasa'il, Ni'mal awn ala taqwa Allah ta'ala al-ghina. The best aid that someone can have in taqwa is ghina. What a good aid riches can be to God-weariness. Because if a person is in poverty, if a person is struggling all the time, they might be tempted towards haram. If a person has a good job, good career, self-sufficient, then this is an aid to taqwa. Being rich and having a good career helps taqwa. How come in the communities over and over we've been told, brother, why are you going to work this day? Brother, why are you working so hard? Why do you love the dunya so much? Unfortunately, we have misunderstood this, that work is actually an act of worship for us. As long as you make it an act of worship with your intention. They come to the imam, and a person is struggling and working hard, and mentions that this is dunya. The imam corrects them and says, this is akhirah, what you're doing. This is the hereafter, what you're doing. There's a nice tradition that we have that talks a bit about God's forgiveness and things that forgive sins. And if I ask you right now, what are things that forgive sins? Maybe you give me a large list. Istighfar, doing charity. There's something here in this hadith that I'm probably sure, unless you heard my other speeches before, that you will not be able to guess. There's something that forgives sins. From Rasulullah, the tradition, فَمَا يُكَفِّرُهَا, things that forgive sins, al-humum fi talab al-ma'isha, meaning that struggle for seeking your livelihood forgives sins. And when you wake up early and you go to work, or if your work is online, whatever it is, it's hard for you, no matter what, your sins are forgiven. Why? Because we're trying to balance these two desires. That the way that Muslimin have unfortunately always thought is that we have to leave this world to the kuffar, to the unbeliever. We don't have a share of this world. The Muslims' world life is in the hereafter. That's when we're supposed to have, conquer and have ownership and be prosperous. But actually, we look in the dua, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنًا. We want a good dunya in akhirat. The world should be belonging to the Muslims. The world should be belonging to the believers. And this is what has been misunderstood, and that Sayyidah Fatima is saying Imam Ali will take you there to prosperity. If you transit bitanan this way, that he will make you satiated, he will make you full. You will eat well with the government of Imam Ali. Then she says, even though he will not have much from this world, but he will fill your stomachs. He will allow you to eat. He will feed everyone. So you see, the power of the religion that we have and we speak about tonight is a religion that is able to conquer the world economically, is encouraging us to work hard. And as we have so many prizes, awards, for inventors, that the Muslims should be the ones that are getting these awards for those that are inventing. Because this is not separate work for this world, is not separate than an act of worship. Now I'm going to give you the final hadith. If you still have any doubt about this topic, this final hadith that actually says working for the world is related to working for the akhirat. There's a connection. Let me read this hadith. This is for Sahih Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, in tradition, says, Inni al-Kafi actually, Inni la ubghidu al-rajul, or other versions say, Oh, ubghidu lil-rajul, an yakunu kaslan an amr dunya. I have hatred. I do not love a person that is lazy in his worldly affairs. That doesn't seem like our religion anymore. I thought that you're only supposed to go to Hajj and Masjid, and actually if you don't have a job, it's even better because you can worship Allah even more. You shouldn't work too much for this world. You mean that Imam Baqir alayhi salam will be upset at me if I don't work hard in this world? This is al-Kafi. Inni la ubghidu al-rajul an yakunu kaslan an amr dunya. Then, alhamdulillah, this is confusing for us. You mean Imam is upset if people are lazy in this world? Yes. Then he gives the reason why. Why do you think the Imam is upset if someone is lazy in this world? Why do you think? What does this relate? If he's lazy in this world, what is that going to cause, you think? He answers, وَمَنْ كَسِلَ أَنْ أَمْرَ دُنْيَا, and whoever is lazy in his world, his life, فَهُوَ أَنْ أَمْرَ آخَرَتِهِ أَكْسَلْ, and he is more lazy for his akhirah. Because a lazy person is lazy. He doesn't want to work. You ask him, look, brother, please, your family is suffering. It's hard for them. Work a little bit. Stay a little bit longer at work. He's like, no, I'm tired. I can't go to work today. I got a backache. I got a headache. I don't want to go to work. Do you think that person is going to be really super enthusiastic with worship as well? Or that person that is motivated to work and is organized and has a good career and is responsible and people trust them and he keeps getting promotions and promotions and promotions, then actually that person is also going to be responsible when it comes to his taqwa, with his religion. He's going to be organized. It goes hand in hand. So therefore we understand that to answer this question, ghina is something good. As long as we seek it for Allah and we're allowed and we give the benefit of it to the people and to the community, very good thing. And working hard and suffering, and most work is hard. A lot of people, they have to stand up on their feet the entire day, for example, and work. Sometimes in hot weather, in cold weather, or whatever work they do. It's hard, but it's halal, it's good. and it causes the sins to be forgiven. And that we don't want to cause Imam Baqir alayhi salam to be upset with us, that we don't care about this world. We don't, because of laziness. We're not, attachment is something else, not working is something else. It's actually more dunya not to work. So hopefully this aspect of Sayyidah Fatima's speech was open for us a little bit, is that if you allowed Imam Ali to become your leader in Imam, and you would follow him as your Imam, he would take you to a pure and clean fountain. He would make you filled, and you would be satiated. And Imam Ali wouldn't have much of this world, but you would be having dunya and akhirat, and the world would become heaven. And that is maybe one aspect that she sees from the Dhulm al-Wasi, that this opportunity that the world has missed, and that everything that has now happened after this, as the tradition for Imam Sadiq mentioned, any blood that is shed, those that cause Saqifa to happen, they are an accomplice to us, because they derailed wilayat and imamat from having power in this world. If we can dim the lights, we'll give inshallah some of the musibat and the calamity that faced Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمأتيه فيها طويلا. روي أنها ما زالت بعد أبيها. It's narrated that your mother Fatima Zahra, after attacking her house, setting her house on fire, smashing her between the door and the wall, that she became mu'assabatul ras, that she always tied a handkerchief on her head because of the bruises of her head. ناحلة الجسم منهدة الروح, she became weak. Her back could not become straight anymore. باكية العين, her eyes were constantly flowing with tears. She had to have a home because the neighbors complained and said she is crying day and night. Ali, take her somewhere else. So Imam Ali took her to another house, Baytul Ahsan, as we have in tradition, the house of sorrows, where she would cry about the dhulm of Imam Ali and faqdun Nabi and dhulm al-Wasi. I'm talking about your mother. I'm talking about Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. Allah brought the best female in this world. And what did humans do to this female? Is this how you say condolences, Fatima Zahra, for your grandfather, for your father passing away? باكية العين محترقة القلب بعد ساعة يغشي عليها الساعة بعد ساعة. She would remain conscious for an hour and become unconscious for an hour. They didn't allow tranquility and peace at the home of Ali alayhi salam. The home is supposed to be a place of peace. Quran mentions وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّن بُيُوتِكُمْ سَكَنًا. Allah says that your home is supposed to be a place of rest. But why wasn't the house of Ali alayhi salam a place of rest? When he would look at his burnt home, when he would look at his lady Sayyidah Fatima injured in this home. The night, Quran says, is supposed to be a place of taskeen, a place of rest. هل هو الذي جعل لكم الليل لتسكنوا فيه, Quran says. He is the one who made your night to rest therein. Imam Ali alayhi salam, his night is now restless. As he says in hadith, Amma huzni fasarmad, wa amma layali famusahad. As to my grief, it has no bounds. As to my nights, they remain sleepless. So they took peace from the house of Imam Ali. They took sleep from the house of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And the Quran says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. In another place of tranquility is the wife. And they took this away from Imam Ali. When she was alive, he mentioned that he would look at her. And every time he had humum and ahsan and grief, the look of Sayyidah Fatima would take away this grief from him. وَلَقَدْ كُنْتُ أَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهَا فَتَنْكَشِفُ عَنِّي الْهُمُومَ وَالْأَحْسَانِ. But now every time he's looking at her, he is becoming more saddened. A night like this, it is a very special funeral. It is a very private funeral. Even her uncle Abbas is not allowed to come, because she did not want anyone to come that did not help Ali ibn Abi Talib in his oppression. Whoever didn't help Ali does not deserve to come to my funeral. So it's a night, a dark night possibly. A night that there's a few people there. Imam Ali is there. Imam Hassan is there, their children. Imam Hussein is there. Salman is there. Miqdad is there. Ammar is there. Abu Dhar is there. And possibly that's it. Maybe about 7 people are there. And now Imam Ali alayhi salam is wondering where to bury Sayyidah Fatima. Where in this graveyard, in this place in Medina, can I bury her where nobody can ever find out where she's buried? He is burying her, but now he begins to speak to Rasulullah. And says, Rasulullah, فَلَقَدْ اسْتُرْجَعَتِ الْوَدِيئَ وَأُخَذَتِ الرَّهِينَ. The trust has now been returned. You gave Sayyidah Fatima to me when I became married. Now this trust that you gave, now I'm returning it to you. وَأُخَذَتِ الرَّهِينَ though. But this has been taken from me. This rahina has been taken back. I want you to take yourselves to Medina. Imam Ali alayhi salam is slowly putting the holy body of Sayyidah Fatima in the grave. Nobody is watching, only a few people. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are weeping and crying for their mother. I don't know if Lady Zainab and Kulthum are there or not. They're weeping and crying because they know that their mother is being buried. There Imam Ali alayhi salam, the same Imam that they say, whose legs would never shiver, that when they told him that Fatima has passed away, they say that this is the time that his legs were not sturdy anymore, his knees shook and he fell. At such a time, Imam Ali alayhi salam is putting Sayyidah Fatima in the grave. While we're mentioning this, keep us all in your du'as. And now Imam Ali, فَلَمَّا نَغَذَ يَدَهُ مِن تُرَابِ الْقَبْرِ. The hadith has an amali of Mufid, that he takes his hand from the dirt of the grave. Hajab al-Huz. Then is when Huz comes upon Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now فَأَرْسَلَ دَمُوعَهُ عَلَى خَدَّيْهِ. And from his cheeks, his holy cheeks of Amir al-Mu'mineen, tears are flowing on his cheeks because he is burying Fatimatu Zahra, Sayyidatu Nisa al-Alameen, a mother at such a young age, 18 years of age. She did not live longer than this. Inna lillah, inna ilayhi raji'un. Ya Allah, we ask you, because of the holy nur and light of Sayyidah Fatima, give us, inshallah, nur and light. Forgive our marhumeen, inshallah, those that have passed away. Answer the du'as of everyone. Allow us to be good companions of Imam Mahdi, inshallah. All of those that are sick, give them shafa bihaqq Fatima alayhi salam. and expedite the return of our Imam, Imam Mahdi, inshallah. Help the oppressed, help those that are helping the oppressed, inshallah, throughout the world, in Palestine, throughout the entire world, and expedite the return of Imam of the age with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One of the brothers in the community requested 10. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَا وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. Let's recite it together, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب أمن يجيب مضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء صلوا على محمد وعلى محمد. Brothers, please stand up for the Ata. روی لبها نور و قدر و کوثر و طاها ذکر نورانی عاشقها تسبیحات حضرت زهرا الله اکبر این همه جلال الله اکبر این همه شکوه الله اکبر در راه علی فاطمه ایستاده مثل یک کوه صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه صلی الله علیک صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه روی لبها نور و قدر و کوثر و طاها ذکر نورانی عاشقها تسبیحات حضرت زهرا روی لبها نور و قدر و کوثر و طاها ذکر نورانی عاشقها تسبیحات حضرت زهرا الله اکبر این همه جلال الله اکبر این همه شکوه الله اکبر این همه جلال الله اکبر این همه شکوه الله اکبر در راه علی فاطمه ایستاده مثل یک کوه صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه یا فاطمه صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه یا الله علیک یا فاطمه میدونم که راز شهادت این اشکا رنگ خدا میگیرم من با تسبیحات حضرت زهرا میدونم که راز شهادت این اشکا رنگ خدا میگیرم من با تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. الحمدلله که نوکرتم، الحمدلله که مادرمی، الحمدلله که نوکرتم، الحمدلله که الحمدلله از بچگیام مادر سایه روی سرمی. صلی الله علیه فاطمه، از غصه ها چشم عاشقا شده دریا، روزه بعد نماز ما تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. از غصه ها چشم عاشقا شده دریا، روزه بعد نماز ما تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. سبحان الله باغ بهشت و دود، سبحان الله از لحظه ورود، سبحان الله باغ بهشت و دود، سبحان الله از لحظه ورود، سبحان الله پیش چشم علی آیه های کوثر شده کبود. صلی الله علیه فاطمه،
صلی الله علیه فاطمه. می زدن کاش به جای تو مرا می زدن.